So how do you deal with the constant rejection is really the basis of that question.
Mhm.
Um, David, what do you think?
Oh, this one's a little bit tricky for me. So I'm going back to the first 5 to 10 years of my career. Um, it's interesting. What I associate with this one, we may move off of me a little bit faster because it doesn't directly go with the question here. My big concern was skill. Like
Mm.
I was, and I suppose it still does get tied up with how I wasn't progressing, but it was a roller coaster. My 20s were just, I was pretty good in school. I had a very tiny little class of illustrators that I graduated with, and I was one of the better ones. I could draw well and all that kind of stuff. And so I was kind of like, just definitely had an ego coming out of college, and then started working, and I was getting nothing, just
Mm.
nothing back. And I would just fluctuate wildly from thinking I was really talented and absolutely was going to make a success of this to just being like, I don't know. I don't think I should do this anymore. I clearly have to go get a full-time job doing something else. And I suppose the only thing for me was just an unwillingness to give up, and just a plugging away kind of an approach to it.
Well, let me
I
ask
don't
you
know that that answers the question. So
a more direct question to you
yeah,
would be, did you go through that period where you're putting a lot out into the world and you're not receiving a lot back in terms of
yes,
response?
absolutely. And again, those were certainly the first 5 years of the career, and really, I didn't start working regularly. Like, you'd get the job here and there, but things are happening. This is
Mhm.
actually how I make my money. This is how I make my mortgage and my rent. Or yeah, I guess it was rent initially, mortgage soon thereafter. That didn't really happen until 8, even 10 years into it. So yeah, I had that. The question on this one is how it was like, is the
How
question
do you
like,
deal
how do
with the
you deal with
constant
it?
failure? Yeah. What do you do in the face of that much
I'm going
failure?
to toss it over to you guys because I mean, other than like just do it, and that doesn't feel like a
Well,
pretty actionable thing. I wonder. I will have to dissect that or investigate that a little bit.
for me, just to give you there's a couple of ways to answer this question. I'll give you the first is your personality is going to dictate how this feels to you. And I hate to be so abstract there, but there is a wild, range of reactions you can have to this. And I'm going to give you a little example of how my personality works here. I used to, when I was a teacher in Portland, I used to play pool during my breaks in between classes with one of the other teachers. We had this place across the street. And so we go over there and play pool. And the guy that I was playing with he's just like a pool shark. He's one of those guys that's just good at bar games, darts and shuffleboard and pool. And so he would just beat me and beat me and beat me and beat me. I mean, just over and over. It would be like
Mhm.
30 games straight. And then I would win one. And the gloating that would happen at that point was just it didn't even match how many times I had lost. But it would be like, oh, I crushed you. How did it feel to get so crushed by me? And then I wouldn't play him for like a week just so I could ride out that victory. So that's
Wow.
kind of how I deal. Like I can lose so many times. Maybe it's from being a twin. But I can lose so many
Hmm.
times. And then when I finally get a win in there, that's all I think about. I never think about the 30 losses that were previous to that. It's the only think about the one that I won. So that just, I mean, it sets up kind of how my personality is. And to fast forward that into the illustration realm. Well, David, you were using ad base as well as I was for a little while, I think, for marketing and advertising. Do you
This
remember
is
that?
the where you pay for a list of potential clients.
Yeah. And so they had a
Yes. Yeah,
service where you could
I did.
they would give you a mailing list and
Mhm.
we'd send out postcards, and that's how we got our mailing list. And then you could also do emailers where you get this list of people and they opted in. So, it wasn't going to be spam. You send out, so I can't remember how much it was, but let's just say 1,000. And they would give you a little guideline when you send out these digital postcards or these digital mailers. The response rate, like a great response rate, would be like 2% of people just opening the email.
Yep.
And then it would also track how many people opened the email and then clicked your link. And so if
Yep.
2% are opening out of the 1,000 people, how many people are actually going to the website? It's a fraction of that. And that was just that's just how it worked. That's how everybody's emailer worked. And once I got comfortable knowing that's sort of the numbers we're dealing with in terms of what success looks like, it changed how much I needed to get out of it.
That's interesting. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. There's actually a quote that I always come back to. It's by Bill Watterson, creator of Calvin and Hobbes. And he said this in, I believe it was a speech he gave to a graduating class of I think the college he went to. I don't remember the details, but the quote is this: "You will do well to cultivate the resources in yourself that bring you happiness outside of success or failure." Okay. So I think you look at people who are successful and happy. These are people who are less concerned with their successes or their failures as they are with the work that they're doing.
There you go.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And I look at people, and even myself, when I was able to not worry if something succeeds, a book project or a piece of merchandise that I put in my shop or an Instagram post. If I go into it thinking, I just want to do this because it's bringing me joy, or it's making me become a better artist, or I'm getting better at my craft through doing this, that in and of itself is worth it. And if you show up to do that every single day, to continue creating, continually improving, regardless if there's failure or success in how people receive it, you will eventually be successful. You'll find that success. You'll find a route through opportunity to where you're able to be recognized for your work, possibly be making money doing it, getting the clients that you want, getting the projects that you want, those types of things. But even then, you're going to still have failures. You're going to still have disappointments. There's going to be critics who don't like it. Even when you're at the level that Lee's at and David's at and myself are at, you're still going to have setbacks and things like that. And if you haven't figured out how to deal with that, it's just going to be one continual, life of pain, right? That you can't work with.
Absolutely.
You just have to enjoy the act of creating.